We're still hanging out. One Thursday night in 2010, Teagle was hosting open mic at Whistling Willie's in Cold Spring. I think he was covering for you, Kathleen Pemble. It was my first time there. I had just started playing out again after a decade of not picking up the guitar. I was generally anxious, let's call it, about my playing. I felt like I was wearing catcher's mitts filled with Play-Doh. But anyway, I finished my set. I played 3 songs, all Roy Orbison tunes. And before I could unplug, here's John Teagle on stage, guitar in hand, this huge head talking to my face. Like a Great Pyrenees with a blowout. And a face twice as earnest. And he is very excited about something. Do you know Cast Iron Arm? He says. I say, nope. He says, by Peanuts Wilson, of the Teen Kings, Roy's Rockabilly Band. It's A-D-E-A. There's this lick. Just follow me. Peanuts? And then, well, those are my very best chords. So I say, okay. And just like that night, I knew I had the guitar player for my band, so I wouldn't have to do it. What I didn't know was that I'd met not only one of the best friends, but one of the most profoundly influential people of my life. And for 13 years, Teagle and I played music together right up until this last New Year. It's been a blessing. Teagle. You know, you don't get to be eponymous for nothing. You have to be pretty special. Gandhi, Cher, Barney, The Rock. He has a definite article. Anyhow. Playing music, working on music together with John was a joy on many levels, but mainly because he took such joy in it. He had such a positive approach, such infectious enthusiasm. He's just so talented. We arranged together. He was whip smart with music theory, and he, coming from a guitarist approach, complemented my music school BS. And we'd spar over what diminished chord was actually an inverted 5/7 of 3 from the relative minor, blah, 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 blah. But we really met there and really enjoyed geeking out on all that. And of course, with John, you didn't get just great musicianship, musicology. You got music history. You got, and I almost wrote trivia here, but y'all know none of this was trivial. Not to John or any of us music nerds. With John, you got their stories. Lore. John loved to share the stories of the musicians he dug, and the producers, and the sidemen, and the songwriters, and the co-writers, and the arrangers, and the record labels, the guitars that were played, the amps they were played through, the guy that delivered sandwiches to the session, what was his deal? Cut a couple sides for chess, went back to the sandwich game. Seriously though, John told stories of musicians like Jesus told parables. You don't always know at first listen what the takeaway is, especially with musicians because we're all bonkers. But we love the stories. They're our stories, and we feel part of that continuum. And you know, there's value in them, there's meaning and care for these characters because we keep telling them. To love music and musicians, with all our triumphs, folly, and failures, is, I think, to love all people and the human condition. And that was John, unconditionally. He was a brilliant guitarist. He managed to teach me a few things on guitar, despite myself. He was very generous in that way. And he took advantage of our project, The Lonely, to focus on his voice, allowing me to show him a thing or two. We loved to harmonize together. As a bandmate, John was the gift that kept on giving. And giving was what John was all about. He showed up. And how did he show up? With all the gear and all the enthusiasm for everyone for all of us in this community, certainly. John was the gold standard of showing up. When I first met him, Teagle told me, I think I'm in 5 bands. He threw himself into everything, and he didn't make a big deal out of it, didn't seek backslaps or credit from anyone, didn't care about making it big, fame, or fortune. He just knew what he loved, and he committed to the things he loved. Family, music, community, nature, and doing right. Pretty simple formula for happiness, I'd say. I don't know how John became the man he became. Nature, nurture, divine inspiration. I've learned it best not to suppose too deeply what makes another person tick, why they are who they are entirely, what motivates them. It's hard enough in this life to understand our own selves. But we know happiness when we see it, and we recognize an enlightened spirit. In Thornton Wilder's Our Town, Emily asks, does anyone ever realize life while they live it every minute? The stage manager says, no, saints and poets maybe, they do some. And I wondered, why them? Why saints and poets? Well, we look at what they do. They perform miracles to help the suffering. They create art to help us feel maybe a little less afraid in life, in love, and in death. They show us by their actions what they believe life is about. The Bible, Matthew writes, by their fruits you will know them, actions. Stephen Hawking, when he said, however difficult life may seem, there's always something you can do and succeed at. It matters that you just don't give up. There's always something you can do. By John's actions, by every measure, you knew what he believed in. He believed in you. Believed in you. In us. And that's precious. And more rare than it should be. I go so far as to say that having someone believe in you, showing by their actions, even and especially when you're questioning yourself, that belief is a more profound covenant between people than even love. Love can be blind. Hope is a beggar. Belief, though, is palpable. You can feel it. You can see it. Unmistakably, in every next right thing we do for one another. So today we celebrate John Teagle together, tell the stories, feel the music, cry big tears, laugh deeply, embrace one another. And in John's honor, I encourage each one of you to leave here today believing in one another, in our community, and in a better, kinder world. Do justice, love kindness, walk humbly with your faith. Believe in the best in one another, and show up for each other. Do this for you first. It'll make you a better person. That's where a better world starts. And if you don't know how to get started, if you need a reminder of what it looks like, remember John Teagle.